Shoranandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashoranandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, 7th chapter, text number 4. Atrehe apatyam abhikankshataha aha tushtaha dataha maya aham iti yat bhagavan saha dataha yat pada pankaja paraga vitra deha yoga ridhim apuhu abayim yadu hayhaya adyaha atrera patyam abhikankshata aha tushto dato mayaham iti yad bhagavan sadattaha yat para pankaja paraga pavitra deha yogaridim apur ubhayim yadu hahaya atrera patyam abhikankshata aha tushto dato mayaham iti yad bhagavan sadattaha yat para pankaja paraga pavitra deha yogaridim apur ubhayam yadu hahayad yaha hahayad atrera patyam abhikankshata aha tushto Tato mayaham iti yad bhagavan sadattaha yat para pankaja paraga pavitra deha yogaridim apur ubhayim yadu hahayadyaha
Atrera patyam abhikankshata aha tushto
Hatrerapatyam abhikankshata ahatushto.
Datto mayayam iti yad bhagavan sadattaha.
Dato mayayam bhagavan sadattaha.
Yat pada pankaja paraga pavitra deha.
Yat para pankaja paraga pavitra deha.
Yogardim apurvayam yadvai hayadyam.
Yogaridim apurubhayim yaduhahayad.
Atrirapatyam abhikshataahatushto dato mayaha mitiyat bhagavan sadattaha yatpada pankaja paraga pavitra deha
Yat para pankaja paraga pavitra deha.
yogartima parubaying yadu hai hayadyaha
Yogaridim apurubhayim yaduhayad.
Ater apatayam adakankshata tushto
Atrerapatyam abhikankshata ahatushto.
Dato mayaham itiyad bhagavan sadatta
Dato mayam iti yad bhagavan sadatta.
Yatpat pankajaya paraga paritra deha
Yad para pankaja paraga pavitra deha.
Yugaridim apuru bhayayim yadu hayhayadayaha
Yogaridim apurubhayim yaduhayadya.
Atrerapachyam abhikankshata ahatushto
Atrerapatyam abhikankshata ahatushto.
Dato mayahamiti yad bhagavan sadattaha
Dato mayaham iti yad bhagavan sadattaha.
Yad pada pankaja paraga pavitra deha
Yat para pankaja paraga pavitra deha.
Yogardam apurubhayam yadu ahayadaha
Yogaridim apurubhayim yaduhaya.
Atrarpatyam apatyam abhikankshata ahatushto
Atrerapatyam abhikankshata ahatushto.
Dato mayaham iti yad bhagavan satattaha
Dato mayaham iti yad bhagavan sadattaha.
Yat para pankaja paraga pavitra deha
Yat para pankaja paraga pavitra deha.
Yogardima purvayim yaduhai hayadyaha
Yogaridim apurubhayim yaduhayadyaha.
Atrirapatyam abhikankshata ahatushto
Atrerapatyam abhikankshata ahatushto.
dato mayaham itiyat bhagavan sadattaha
Tato mayaham iti yad bhagavan sadattaha.
yatpada pankaja paraga pavitra deha
Yat para pankaja paraga pavitra deha.
yogardim purvapayim yaduhaya hayadyaha
Yogaridim apurubhayim yaduhayadyaha. Atrehe of the sages. Of the sage Atri, sorry. Apatyam, issue. Abhikankshataha, having prayed for. Aha, said it. Tushtaha, being satisfied. Dataha, given over. Maya, by me. Aham, myself. Iti, thus. Yat, because. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Saha, he. Dataha, Datatreya, Yatpada, one whose feet, Pankaja, lotus, Paraga, dust, Pavitra, purified, Dehaha, body, Yoga, mystic, Rhythm, opulence, Apuhu, got, Ubayim, for both the worlds, Yadu, the father of the Yadu dynasty, Haihaya Adyaha, and others like King Haihaya. Translation: the great sage Atri prayed for offspring, and the Lord, being satisfied with him, promised to incarnate as Atri's son, Dattatreya, Datta, the son of Atri. And by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many Yadus, Haihayas, etc., became so purified that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. Purport: transcendental relations between the personality of Godhead and the living entities are eternally established in 5 different affectionate humors, which are known as Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. The sage Atri was related with the Lord in the affectionate Vatsalya humor, and therefore, as a result of his devotional perfection, he was inclined to have the personality of Godhead as his son. The Lord accepted his prayer, and he gave himself as the son of Atri. Such a relation of sonhood between the Lord and his pure devotees can be cited in many instances. And because the Lord is unlimited, he has an unlimited number of father devotees. Factually, the Lord is the father of all living entities, but out of transcendental affection and love between the Lord and his devotees, the Lord takes more pleasure in becoming the son of a devotee than in becoming one's father. The father actually serves the son, whereas the son only demands all sorts of services from the father. Therefore, a pure devotee who is always inclined to serve the Lord wants him as the son and not as the father. The Lord also accepts such service from the devotee, and thus the devotee becomes more than the Supreme Lord, more than the Lord. The impersonalists desire to become one with the Supreme, but the devotee becomes more than the Lord, surpassing the desire of the greatest monist. Parents and other relatives of the Lord achieve all mystic opulences automatically because of their intimate relationship with the Lord. Such opulences include all details of material enjoyment, salvation, and mystic powers. Therefore, the devotee of the Lord does not seek them separately, wasting his valuable time in life. The valuable time of one's life must therefore be fully engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The other desirable achievements are automatically gained. But even after obtaining such achievements, one should be on guard against the pitfall of offenses at the feet of the devotees. The vivid example is Haihaya, who achieved all such perfection in devotional service, but because of his offense at the feet of a devotee, was killed by Lord Parashurama. The Lord became the son of the great sage Atri and became known as Dattatreya. Maharaj, would you like to speak anything?
This Haihaya, they were the Kshatriyas that offended the father of Parshuram. That's being described here, that Parshuram's father is a Brahmin, great Brahmin, very generous, all good qualities. But king, he became envious because the Brahmin had a Kamadhenu cow that would supply all kinds of amazing things, anything he wanted. And one time the king came there, and the Brahmin, Parshuram's father, because he had this Kamdenu cow, he received everything. He received all the king, all the soldiers, thousands of them. They were given first class meal, accommodations, everything. And the king became envious. I'm the king, I should have this. He shouldn't, he's a Brahmin, he doesn't need it. He's just making some milk preparations. So he took a cow. Parshuram got the cow back. And then the next time, king, he killed the father. He killed Parshuram. And then Parshuram just let all the stops out. Yeah. He wiped out the generations of touches 21 times. Because they had become so impure. But Krishna came in the Yadu dynasty. He's a descendant of the Yadu dynasty. His predecessor was Yadu, one of the sons of Yayati. That's another long story. It's described in Bhagavatam. How Yayati accidentally ended up marrying Devayani, the daughter of Shukracharya, Brahman. And he was a Kshatriya. But that's not acceptable. That's considered to be not proper marriage. Marriage is all right if the husband is from a higher caste, like a Brahmin. If he marries, no, that's it. The wife can be from a lower caste. They're not a higher caste. That's considered to be not proper. So, but she was cursed. This daughter, she had offended one Brahmin, and so he cursed her, you'll never marry a Brahmin. So, anyway, it's a long story, but Lord Shiva was passing, and some of the girls, these are the princesses, and even some of the girlfriend, the daughters of the Brahmins, they were friends, and they were taking baths. So when Lord Shiva came by, they wanted to cover themselves so they didn't make any offense. And it so happens that one of the girls took one of the other girls' clothing while they were bathing without clothes on. And so they ran to get their clothes quickly. And she accidentally took the other one's clothing. And the girl was upset, took my clothing, and then one said something to the other about family. And because of that, then the girl who was from the Kshatriya family, she was a bit stronger. She picked up the other one, Devayani, and just threw her in a well, naked. And left her. So that wasn't a very good situation for the daughter of Shukracharya. He's the Brahmin. He's a priest of all the demons. So anyway, Maharaj Yati was out on tour as a Kshatriya, and he came to the well to get some water. Lo and behold, he looked down, and instead of water, he saw a beautiful young lady not wearing clothing. So out of his kindness, he gave her a cloth, a covering cloth, so she covered herself. And then he pulled her out by her hand, and she said, "Now we're married." She was very quick to make that point. So he suspected something was wrong. Wow, what family are you from? She said, "Don't worry about it." Anyway, it all came out. But because she was cursed by the Brahmin, she wouldn't be able to marry a Kshatriya anyway. Excuse me, she wouldn't be able to marry a Brahmin. But finally it was settled up that Devayani could marry the king, and the girlfriend, the one who took her clothes, would also have to go. She would be a maidservant of Devayani to repay her for the deed she did. But this, her name was Sharmista, she couldn't have any children by the king, even though she was a princess. So they agreed to that. But Yati, he couldn't follow it because Sharmista is very beautiful, and after all, she's a bona fide wife, and she wanted children also. She got some children. When, after some time, Devayani found out, and Shukracharya found out, he was really furious. She was furious too, but when Shukracharya came on the scene and he saw that her husband had broken the agreement, so he said, "Then I will curse you. You'll take all your youth will go away. You'll become old immediately." He became immediately old man, really old, decrepit, shaking. No woman would want him, the husband. So he didn't know what to do. And thing is, his daughter, Devayani, although she was happy in one sense that her husband got chastised, but she wasn't happy that her husband became a really old, decrepit man, because now she couldn't enjoy it. So Shukracharya gave him the benediction then that if he could find someone who would trade his youth would take his old age in exchange for their youth, and he can enjoy youth again with his daughter. So Yati had 4 sons, and first 3 declined. They didn't want to give up their youth. But one did, one agreed. His son was Puru. And so Yayati was very pleased with him, and he wasn't pleased with the other 3 sons. But one of those sons was Yadu, and Yadu declined to agree to the father's proposal because he knew that Krishna would become a member of that line. And so he wanted to make sure he did his part for the Lord's Spirit.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah, so when the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna comes, he not only comes as the Supreme Lord himself, but he also comes as a member of the Yadu dynasty, which is the dynasty coming, it's called Chandra Vangsha. It is coming from the line of the Kshatriyas are coming from the line of Chandra, the moon god. And the Bhagavatam is containing the whole history of the kings that are coming in Krishna's family. And Krishna advents himself. The Yadu dynasty is actually in a state of great distress as King Kamsa, who's also took his birth in the Yadu dynasty. A great demon. There's actually a demon called Kalanemi in his past life. I think we can read about him in the Vishnu Puran maybe, but he's an enemy of Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu kills him, and then he takes his birth as Kamsa, and Krishna comes again and kills him. But when Krishna appears, he appears. He's complete. He's the absolute truth. So within him are contained all of the demigods and all of the different personalities, the sages, all of the incarnations. He's avatari, so within his body are all the incarnations. One particular incarnation we're hearing about here is Dattatreya, who's the son of Atri. Atri is one of the sons of Brahma, who's one of the Saptarishis. And his wife is Anasuya, who's one of the daughters of Kardama Muni in Devahuti. And they're great ascetics. And they were performing lots of austerity, and they got the benediction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to take birth as their son, as Dattatreya. And Dattatreya is a very influential personality in India and in Hinduism now. If you go to India, you'll see him, his image. He's got 3 heads. He's an ascetic brahmana. He's wearing a loincloth. He's got 3 heads. One for Vishnu, one for Shiva, and one for Brahma. And he's got a danda, and he's got a kamandalu, and he's usually depicted with 4 dogs by his side, which represent the 4 Vedas. And all over India, South India, Northern, like all over, and there are places dedicated to Dattatreya, and there are different cults which claim to originate from him, and different saints who claim to be incarnations of Dattatreya, or who are worshipped as incarnations of Dattatreya, or angsas of Dattatreya. So if you go to India now, this personality Dattatreya is very prominent. It's prominent influence there. Like, for example, the Nath Yogis. There's a cult in India. It's pretty prominent. It's called the Nath Yogis, and they're They've got the matted hair and they wear saffron and they practice primarily hatha yoga, but you can spot them because at the time of initiation they have this crazy piercing where they cut their ear down the middle and they put a huge ring in there, and so you can spot them. But most of these cults that actually are claiming to belong to Dattatreya practice hatha yoga and some form of Ashtanga yoga and whatnot. Like in Varanasi, there's a cult which is coming from some Baba named Kinaram, and they wear ashes and they meditate in the cremation grounds. And they're also claiming to come from Dattatreya. But we hear about Dattatreya in Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically in the 11th canto during the Uddhava Gita. Lord Krishna is speaking about the Avadut Brahmana. He's speaking this to Uddhava. And this is actually Dattatreya. The Avadut Brahmana is Dattatreya. And he's giving some philosophy. It's a lot like the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where we have different processes by which we can remember the Lord, just in throughout the cosmic manifestation. Different ways in which we can remember the Lord, so that's spoken in the 11th canto. But I was thinking maybe we could read a little bit more about Dattatreya from what Srila Prabhupada has to say in some of the purports in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is verse 1, 3, 11. Or this is verse 11 of the first canto, third chapter. Translation: the sixth incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahlad, and others, Yadu, Hahaya, etc. Purport: the Lord incarnated himself as Dattatreya, the son of Rishi Atri and Anasuya. The history of the birth of Dattatreya as an incarnation of the Lord is mentioned in the Brahmanda Purana. In connection with the story of the devoted wife, it is said there that Anasuya, the wife of Rishi Atri, prayed before the Lords Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva as follows: my lords, if you are pleased with me, and if you desire me to ask from you some sort of blessings, then I pray that you combine together to become my son. This was accepted by the Lords, and as Dattatreya, the Lord expounded the philosophy of the spirit soul and especially instructed Alarka, Prahlad, Yadu, and Hahaya, etc. This is coming from another purport. Srila Sridhar Swami gives evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam that the Brahmana Avadut was actually the incarnation of Godhead Dattatreya. The Bhagavatam 2.7.4 states, Yat pada pankaja paraga pavitra deha yogaridim apur ubhayim yadu hahayadyaha. Many yadus, hayhayas, etc. became so purified by the grace of the lotus feet of Dattatreya, the Lord, that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. This verse mentions that Yadu was purified by contact with the lotus feet of Dattatreya. And similarly, the present verse states, Vandito Swarchito Ragya. King Yadu worshipped the lotus feet of the Brahmana. Thus, according to Srila Sridhar Swami, the Avadut Brahmana is the personality of Godhead himself. And this is confirmed by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So we have some some information is given about this personality Dattatreya, namely that he's expounding the philosophy of the soul to the various Kshatriyas, important Kshatriyas of the Yadu dynasty. And that's the duty of a Brahmana, is that he is knowledgeable in Brahmabhuta, the Brahmabhuta platform, the spiritual platform. He's knowledgeable in all sorts of things, material and spiritual. When one acquires spiritual knowledge, actually, he becomes his intelligence becomes capable of understanding everything material as well. So many examples of that. Like Srila Prabhupada, he knew so much material knowledge as well, different health remedies and all kinds of things, you know. He was so capable. But most importantly, he was teaching the highest kind of knowledge, the knowledge of Brahman and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So that's the duty of the Brahmana, is that he assimilates this knowledge from the scriptures, and then he's able to teach it to the various kings. And the kings are able to rule in a saintly way, and in a way which is conducive for the benefit and the welfare of all people in society. And the Brahmana, he also, while begging alms from certain personalities, he goes not specifically for begging, but for teaching householders about spiritual life and how to actually connect their work and their life with Krishna. As well as he might also go there and he might answer any questions they have about certain things, maybe related to health or related to the political climate of the society at the time, because the Brahmana is very intelligent. And so he knows what's happening. He overhears the news, what's happening in the palaces of the various Kshatriyas, and he's able to disseminate that information, and he's hearing about the different personalities. In example, like in the Mahabharata, the Pandavas and Kunti were staying in a house, and they were visited by the household was visited by a Brahmana. And from that Brahmana, they heard about so many different things, but they heard that King Drupada was holding a Swayamvar ceremony for his daughter, Draupadi. And like that, the Pandavas were able to get that information, and they were able to go to the Swayamvar, and Arjuna was able to win Draupadi's hand in marriage. So the Brahmanas are constantly traveling around, disseminating all knowledge on everything, but particularly knowledge on spiritual life and how we can attain self-realization, knowledge of the soul. And so we see here Dattatreya is exemplifying that. Okay, I think that's about all the time we have. So if there's no questions, we can end class there. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.